The command deck of the UESF flagship, Elysium, hummed with a low, steady vibration, a familiar sound that usually brought Elara Voss a sense of comfort. Today, however, it felt like a warning bell, echoing the tension that hung in the air. She stood at the helm, her fingers dancing over the console, eyes fixed on the swirling data streaming across the screens. The Zarkonian fleet was on the move, and every instinct in her body screamed that something was terribly wrong. "Captain, we've intercepted a transmission from the Zarkonians," Lieutenant Marcus Hale said, his voice steady but laced with urgency. He leaned closer, his brow furrowed. "They're mobilizing in greater numbers than we anticipated." Elara turned to face him, her heart racing. "What's their trajectory?" "Heading straight for New Terra," he replied, his gaze unwavering. "They're not just probing our defenses, they're coming in for a full assault." A chill ran down her spine. The Zarkonians had always underestimated humanity, believing them to be weak and disorganized. But Elara knew better. She had seen the resilience of her people, the way they fought back against overwhelming odds. "Prepare the fleet for battle stations," she commanded, her voice firm. "We need to be ready for anything." As the crew sprang into action, Elara's mind raced. She had spent years preparing for this moment, training her officers and strategizing for potential conflicts. Yet, the reality of an impending attack felt different, more visceral. She glanced at the view screen, where the stars twinkled innocently, unaware of the storm brewing just beyond the horizon. "Captain," Marcus interrupted her thoughts, "we've received reports from the outer colonies. They're experiencing unusual activity. Zarkonian ships have been spotted near several settlements." "Damn it," Elara muttered, running a hand through her hair. "They're testing our defenses, trying to draw us out. We can't let them divide our forces." "Agreed," Marcus said, his eyes narrowing. "But if we don't respond to those colonies, we risk losing them entirely." Elara weighed her options, the weight of command pressing heavily on her shoulders. "Send a message to the colonies. Evacuate all non-combatants to the nearest safe zones. We'll send a small detachment to assist them, but the bulk of our fleet must remain here." "Understood," Marcus replied, already typing commands into his console. "I'll coordinate with the transport ships." As he worked, Elara's thoughts drifted to her crew. Each one of them had families, dreams, and lives beyond the confines of this ship. She had to protect them, not just as their captain but as a fellow human being. The Zarkonians might see them as mere obstacles, but to her, they were everything. "Captain, we're receiving a distress signal from Colony 7, Marcus announced, his voice cutting through her reverie. "They're under attack." Elara's heart sank. Colony 7 was one of the most vulnerable settlements, a small outpost on the fringes of New Terra's influence. "What's their status?" "Minimal defenses. They're requesting immediate assistance," Marcus replied, his expression grim. "Damn it," Elara cursed under her breath. "We can't afford to split our forces, but we can't leave them to fend for themselves either." "Captain, if we don't act now, we could lose them," Marcus urged, his eyes pleading. "We have to make a choice." Elara felt the weight of the decision pressing down on her. "Send a small strike team to assist Colony 7. We'll keep the main fleet here to defend New Terra. I want a full tactical assessment before we engage." "Right away," Marcus said, his fingers flying over the console. "I'll get the team ready." As he worked, Elara took a moment to breathe, her mind racing with the implications of her decision. She knew the risks involved in sending a team into a battle zone, but the thought of abandoning innocent lives was unbearable. The Zarkonians had already shown their ruthlessness. She couldn't let them claim another colony without a fight. "Captain, we're detecting Zarkonian ships entering the system," Marcus called out, his voice tense. "They're moving fast." "Battle stations," Elara shouted, adrenaline surging through her veins. "All hands, prepare for engagement." The crew sprang into action, the atmosphere shifting from tense anticipation to focused determination. Elara took her position at the command console, her heart pounding in rhythm with the ship's engines. She could feel the weight of her crew's eyes on her, their trust in her leadership palpable. "Status report," she barked, her voice cutting through the chaos. The Elysium trembled as the Zarkonian ships entered the system, their sleek, menacing forms cutting through the void like predators stalking their prey. Elara Voss stood at the command console, her heart racing as she surveyed the tactical display. The Zarkonian fleet was larger than she had anticipated, a dark armada that seemed to blot out the stars. "Captain, we have visual confirmation of the enemy fleet," Marcus Hale reported, his voice steady despite the tension in the air. "They're deploying fighters and preparing for an assault." "Divert power to shields and weapon systems," Elara commanded, her mind racing through the strategies she had rehearsed countless times. "We need to hold them off long enough for the strike team to reach Colony 7. "Understood," Marcus replied, his fingers flying over the controls. "We're at full readiness, but we'll need to be strategic about our engagement. They outnumber us significantly." Elara nodded, her jaw set in determination. "We can't let fear dictate our actions. We've trained for this. We know our strengths." She turned to the crew, her voice rising above the hum of the ship. "Listen up. We're facing a formidable enemy, but we are not without our advantages. We know these systems better than they do. Use that to our benefit." The crew exchanged glances, their resolve hardening. Elara could see the fire in their eyes, the shared commitment to protect their home. "Prepare to engage the enemy. I want all fighters launched and ready for combat. We'll create a diversion while the strike team heads to Colony 7. "Launching fighters now," Marcus confirmed, his focus unwavering. "We'll need to coordinate their movements carefully to avoid being overwhelmed." As the fighters shot out from the Elysium, Elara felt a surge of pride. Each pilot was a testament to humanity's resilience, trained to face the unknown with courage. She could almost hear the roar of their engines, a symphony of defiance against the encroaching darkness. "Captain, we're receiving a message from the strike team," Marcus said, his brow furrowing. "They're ready to depart but need confirmation on their route." "Relay the coordinates," Elara instructed, her mind racing. "They'll need to navigate through the asteroid belt to avoid detection. It's risky, but it's their best chance." "Message sent," Marcus replied, his eyes darting between screens. "They're en route. We'll keep an eye on their progress." Elara turned her attention back to the view screen, where the Zarkonian ships were forming a battle line. "All right, people. Let's show them what humanity is made of. Engage at will." The Elysium surged forward, weapons primed and ready. The first volley of energy blasts erupted from the Zarkonian ships, illuminating the darkness of space. Elara felt the impact reverberate through the hull, a stark reminder of the stakes at hand. "Shields holding at 70%, Marcus reported, his voice steady. "We're returning fire." "Target their lead ship," Elara commanded, her eyes narrowing. "If we can take out their command vessel, we might disrupt their coordination." "Firing now," Marcus shouted, and the Elysium unleashed a barrage of plasma bolts. The lead Zarkonian ship shuddered under the assault, but it remained operational, returning fire with deadly accuracy. "Captain, we're taking heavy damage on the starboard side," a crew member shouted from the engineering station. "We need to reroute power to the shields." "Do it," Elara ordered, her heart pounding. "We can't afford to lose our defenses." As the crew scrambled to reinforce the shields, Elara's mind raced. She had to think strategically, to outmaneuver an enemy that thrived on chaos. "Marcus, can we create a distraction? Maybe draw some of their fire away from the strike team?" "Absolutely," he replied, a spark of inspiration lighting his eyes. "We can use the asteroid belt to our advantage. If we can lure them in, we might be able to lose them in the debris." "Then let's do it," Elara said, her voice resolute. "Prepare to execute a tactical retreat toward the belt. We'll use the asteroids as cover." "On it," Marcus responded, his fingers dancing over the controls. "Diverting course now." The Elysium veered sharply, heading toward the asteroid field. Elara felt the ship shudder as it maneuvered through the rocky terrain, the crew working in perfect harmony to maintain their course. The Zarkonian ships followed, their pursuit relentless. "Captain, we're entering the asteroid field," Marcus warned. "It's going to be tight. Keep us." The Elysium plunged into the asteroid field, a chaotic dance of rock and metal that could either be their salvation or their doom. Elara Voss gripped the command console, her knuckles white as she watched the view screen fill with the jagged silhouettes of asteroids. The ship shuddered violently as it navigated through the debris, the crew's focus palpable in the tense atmosphere. "Steady, everyone," Elara called out, her voice cutting through the tension. "We've trained for this. Trust your instincts." "Captain, we're being pursued," Marcus Hale shouted, his eyes darting between the tactical display and the view screen. "The Zarkonian ships are closing in fast." "Divert power to the aft shields," Elara ordered, her mind racing. "We need to protect our rear while we maneuver through the field. Can we create a diversion?" "Working on it," Marcus replied, his fingers flying over the controls. "I'll launch a few decoy drones to draw their fire." "Do it," Elara said, her heart pounding. "We need every advantage we can get." As the drones shot out from the Elysium, Elara felt a flicker of hope. The small, agile machines would mimic the ship's signature, drawing the Zarkonian ships away from their path. The crew watched as the drones danced among the asteroids, their bright lights flickering like fireflies in the dark. "Drones are engaging," Marcus reported, a hint of relief in his voice. "They're taking the bait. The Zarkonians are splitting their forces." "Good," Elara said, her mind racing with possibilities. "Let's use this opportunity. Increase speed and head deeper into the field. We need to find a place to regroup and assess our next move." The Elysium surged forward, weaving through the asteroids with a grace that belied its size. Elara felt the ship respond to her commands, a living entity that thrived on her determination. The crew worked in unison, their training kicking in as they navigated the treacherous terrain. "Captain, we've lost visual on the Zarkonian ships," Marcus said, his voice steady. "The drones are keeping them occupied for now." "Let's hope it buys us enough time," Elara replied, her gaze scanning the view screen for any sign of danger. "We need to regroup with the strike team and assess the situation at Colony 7. "Communications are still down," Marcus reminded her. "We can't reach them until we're out of the field." "Then we'll have to find a way to get out," Elara said, determination hardening her resolve. "Keep an eye on the tactical display. I want to know the moment we have a clear path." As they navigated deeper into the asteroid field, the ship sensors began to pick up faint signals. Elara's heart raced. "What's that?" she asked, leaning closer to the console. "Looks like a distress signal," Marcus replied, his brow furrowing. "It's coming from Colony 7. Can we pinpoint their location?" Elara asked, her mind racing with possibilities. "Working on it," Marcus said, his fingers flying over the controls. "If we can triangulate their position, we might be able to get a visual." "Do it," Elara urged, her heart pounding. "We need to know what we're dealing with." After a tense moment, Marcus's expression shifted from concentration to relief. "I've got it. They're just beyond the edge of the field, but it looks like they're surrounded." "Surrounded?" Elara echoed, her stomach dropping. "By Zarkonian ships?" "Affirmative," Marcus confirmed, his voice grim. "They're outnumbered and outgunned." "Then we have to act fast," Elara said, her mind racing. "We can't let them fall. Prepare to break through the field and engage the enemy." "Captain, it's going to be risky," Marcus warned. "We'll be exposed." "Risky is better than abandoning them," Elara replied, her voice firm. "We're not leaving anyone behind." "Understood," Marcus said, his expression resolute. "Diverting power to forward shields. We'll need every ounce of strength we have." The Elysium surged forward, the ship's engines roaring as it broke free from the confines of the asteroid field. Elara felt a rush of adrenaline as they emerged into open space, the Zarkonian ships looming in the distance like dark shadows. "Captain, we're in range," Marcus announced, his voice steady. "What's the plan?" "Target their lead ship," Elara commanded, her heart racing. "We need to disrupt their command structure. If we—" The Elysium emerged from the asteroid field, its hull gleaming under the distant starlight. Elara Voss stood at the command console, her heart pounding as she surveyed the scene before her. The Zarkonian fleet loomed large, a menacing wall of ships surrounding Colony 7. The distress signal had grown weaker, a haunting reminder of the urgency of their mission. "Captain, we're in range," Marcus Hale reported, his voice steady despite the tension in the air. "The lead Zarkonian ship is directly ahead." "Target their weapon systems," Elara commanded, her mind racing. "We need to neutralize their firepower before we can assist the colony." "Firing now," Marcus replied, his fingers dancing over the controls. The Elysium unleashed a volley of plasma bolts, striking the lead ship with precision. The Zarkonian vessel shuddered, its shields flickering under the assault. "Direct hit," Marcus shouted, a hint of triumph in his voice. "They're returning fire." The ship jolted as energy blasts slammed against the shields, the impact reverberating through the hull. Ilara gripped the console, her heart racing. "Status of our shields?" "Shields holding at 60%, a crew member reported, their voice tense. "We can take a few more hits, but we need to end this quickly." "Divert power from non-essential systems to the shields," Ilara ordered. "We can't afford to lose our defenses now." "Power diverted," Marcus confirmed, his focus unwavering. "We're ready for another attack." "Let's keep the pressure on them," Ilara said, her voice resolute. "Target their engines next. If we can disable their mobility, we can turn the tide." The Elysium fired again, the plasma bolts streaking through space and striking the Zarkonian ship's engines. The enemy vessel erupted in a brilliant explosion, debris scattering across the void. Ilara felt a surge of hope, but it was short-lived as the remaining Zarkonian ships began to regroup. "Captain, they're forming a defensive perimeter around Colony 7, Marcus warned, his eyes wide. "We need to break through that line to reach the colony." "Then we'll do just that," Ilara replied, her determination hardening. "Prepare to engage the remaining ships. We'll create a diversion to draw their fire." "Understood," Marcus said, his fingers flying over the controls. "Launching decoy drones now." The drones shot out from the Elysium, their bright lights flickering as they danced among the Zarkonian ships. Ilara watched as the enemy vessels turned their attention to the decoys, firing wildly in an attempt to destroy the distractions. "Now's our chance," Ilara shouted. "Full speed ahead. Target the nearest Zarkonian ship." The Elysium surged forward, weaving through the chaos as it closed in on the nearest enemy vessel. Ilara felt the adrenaline coursing through her veins, the thrill of battle igniting her spirit. "Prepare to fire." "Firing!" Marcus shouted, and the ship unleashed another barrage of plasma bolts. The Zarkonian ship erupted in flames, its hull cracking under the assault. "Direct hit!" a crew member cheered, but Ilara's focus remained sharp. "Keep moving. We can't let up now." As they pressed forward, the Elysium took fire from the remaining Zarkonian ships. The ship shuddered under the impact, alarms blaring as the shields began to weaken. Ilara gritted her teeth, refusing to let fear take hold. "Status report. Shields at 40%. Marcus shouted, his voice strained. "We need to disable their firepower before we take any more hits." "Target their weapon systems again," Ilara commanded, her voice steady. "We can't let them fire on the colony." The Elysium fired once more, striking the weapons array of a nearby Zarkonian ship. The enemy vessel erupted in a brilliant explosion, but the remaining ships were closing in, their formations tightening around the colony. "Captain, we're running out of time," Marcus warned, his eyes wide with urgency. "The colony is taking heavy fire. We need to break through." "Then we'll do it together," Ilara replied, her voice resolute. "Prepare for a full assault. We'll push through their defenses and reach Colony 7. "On it!" Marcus shouted, his fingers flying over the controls, diverting all power to forward shields and weapons. The Elysium surged forward, a beacon of defiance against the encroaching darkness. Ilara felt the ship respond to her commands, its engines roaring as they barreled toward the Zarkonian line. The crew worked in perfect